Hello, it's Greg Smalley on Pod 366, a Weird Movies podcast, joined this week, as I often am, by Giles Edwards
Hello, everyone.
to my
Hello,
left.
Greg.
Hello, Giles. How is everything?
Oh, moving forward, it's all right. Yeah, things are all right.
You're surviving
Oh yeah. Uh,
recent recent unpleasantness.
well, it's just my reflex is cranking up my insouciance another notch. So hopefully, I won't be too insufferable to those around me.
All right. Nah, you can be insufferable. It's fine with me.
Thank
Um,
you.
this week we have six movies to go over, which I will bring up. And there they are. You see the
I
smorgasbord
do.
laid out before us. And I will pick these out one by one and get to our first topic of discussion. That's a handsome looking guy. All right, Giles, do you want to describe as best you can this image we're looking at here?
All right, sure, I'll do my best. Right-hand side in the sort of photographic element of this is most of a youngish fellow, I'm going to guess millennial, which means he's not that youngish anymore, but I'm certainly getting old enough to still describe it that way. He's looking very relaxed in a nylon puff jacket, some t-shirt, another t-shirt, some dark slacks, looks like shortish, but not too coiffed hair, beard, mustache, goatee thing, somewhat expectant look, and he's topped off with a kind of dock worker cap. One of those winter beanie style things. And he's sitting in front of looks like a black marker drawing on white of various dialogue bubbles with little hearts in them emerging from two shriveled, anthropomorphized, raisin-looking entities. I guess I'm sure that's not what they are, but they bring that form to mind that are looking across to each other from separate chairs, and it seems they're combined by a stylized, I don't know, glasses frame thing of, a circle over each of their faces with a horizontal bar in between. So they are emphasized in the busyness that is happening behind the bearded fellow in question.
And the bearded fellow is,
Why,
you
everyone
know,
knows that bearded fellow is Don Hertzfeldt.
Don Hertzfeldt. Yes. So, we're a little late on announcing some Don Hertzfeldt news, but he did an interview that was published this week that reminded me, and there was some forward-looking news in that interview too, that we had forgotten to mention Don Hertzfeldt put out a new, rather longish short recently. I think it runs 20 to 21 minutes or so.
Hmm.
It is called Me. It is a musical. There is some backstory to it in that it was originally a musical collaboration with a band that shall remain nameless, but is Arcade Fire, that was canceled because of a scandal involving the lead singer of Arcade Fire and some allegations against him that you can probably guess. And so Don Hertzfeldt had completed this entire film, but the music was yanked at the last minute, and he had to rescore it with an entirely new soundtrack. It's called Me, as I said. It debuted at some Alamo Draft Houses as a preview to other features, I believe. Or maybe it's screened together with some of Hertzfeld's other features. I can't recall. I don't think we mentioned it at the time because it was so limited and so few people were going to get the chance to see it. But now it is out on VOD, and so you can rent it from Vimeo. We will have the link on the blog post. And It is got his usual stick figure characters, which look like what you can see in front of us, and his experimental animations to those. And the other thing was in the interview where he was promoting me, he dropped some hints or knowledge about a feature film. Now, Hertzfeld is known to us for doing it's a beautiful day, which is a not really a feature. It's really three shorts stitched together to make a feature. Three
Mhm.
shorts that were made many years apart, and of course his trilogy, World of Tomorrow, runs about as long as a feature, but they were movies that were made at separate times. He's never actually sat down and made a real full-length feature film. But this one he has planned, has been in the works for years. He's had a screenplay for years. It's called Antarctica. He is collaborating for the first time with some other animators, other 2D animators. And the reason that we have some hope that this will actually get made is that he has backers now. He has coming on as a producer none less than Ari Aster, who will bring both money and
Hmm.
clout to the table. And for that reason, I am sure that this will be made probably, let's hope for 2025
Yeah.
maybe. So that was a lot of talk for me, really summarizing that slant interview. Giles, did you have any thoughts on this to add?
Nothing terribly pertinent. Just to correct my guess after researching the famous Don Hertzfeldt, he's actually older than me
Huh.
by 6 years, making him a young Gen Xer, and certainly looks younger than I do, but
The
good for him.
the photo might be old though.
Oh, it's well, either way.
It's just a promotional. This is just a promotional photo that either what was it, Slate or Slant? That's
Oh, it's Slate.
It's Slate that I think I might have said
Also has an
Slant.
extensive interview with him, which I imagine will.
Yes, we will link that extensive interview for Don Hertzfeld fans, and you should be a Don Hertzfeld fan if you're not. Um, a lot of his stuff, his shorts are still available for free. You can find them on YouTube. We featured some of them as Saturday shorts. Search our Don Hertzfeld tag, and you can find a lot of stuff from him to get whet your appetite for what he can do with this stick figure animation. But let's move on to another one.
Hey.
We have a movie poster here for Giles to describe.
Yeah, you do. All right. We'll start from the bottom and go up. This is all done in a black and white style of drawing, except for some gold accents, which I'll get to. We have at the base of the frame the shoulders and collar and tie of a black suit jacket, white collared shirt, and black tie. And emerging from this collar is a bunch of puff cotton, perhaps, could be wool. It's been a while since I've seen it. And extending in a narrow band up from this wool is a balloon featuring the dour face of a young man. And on this balloon face young man is a golden crown at well, I'll say a slightly jaunty angle as he looks downward at a, say, 45-degree angle in front of him. And flanking this full ballooned faced young man image, there are two deflated balloons, kind of just wafting to the side. One of an older woman, uh, hard to guess the expression, and one of a younger woman on the left whose expression looks disappointed or wistful, certainly yearning to be somewhere other than in the vicinity of where she finds herself. And heading up to the very top in a nice sort of Renaissance to Gothic formal font is the five-letter, two-syllable name of both the movie and the main character and an item owned by the main character.
Oh, so We could play Wordle with that five-letter word. But also, there's a critic quote.
Oh,
Read
yes.
that.
Very. I'll read this from the good people at rogeribert.com. An unholy fusion of A Clockwork Orange and Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah, and if that doesn't get you excited for this movie, which is called Hippo,
Hmm.
I don't know what will. I do know what will. Giles Edwards' review of this movie will get you excited for it because it got me excited for it.
Oh.
Hippo, independent film. It is. I'm just gonna do the rundown. It is playing this week at Metrograph in New York City and next week at several scattered venues in Los Angeles, independent theaters. Some one night only showings. The Metrograph showing is for a week. And then I would presume it would soon show up on video on demand. Don't know. I would probably assume it would be 2024, but nothing has been announced. So it
Mhm.
might be early 2025. And I would expect also some physical media release from that to follow. So I have not seen Hippo, but Giles has. So I'm going to let Giles pitch this movie to
Sure,
you
sure
listeners,
thing. This
watchers.
sprang upon Fantasia audiences two festivals ago, back in the innocent summer of 2023. And I had thought, I think at that point, I believe I had seen some of the weirdest stuff. I think Divinity might have also sprang up that year at a tail end of its festival run. I think for Hippo, this was the start or midpoint for it. And this was just really, really strange to me, hence my Apocrypha candidacy and my recommended. And I describe it succinctly a nightmare version of Thomas Kincaid. The kid Hippo is raised in a rather religious, confined household that is religious in a very particular way, various Christian overtones as well as others. Speaking with the director and writer duo in an interview I was able to have, there was a lot of them exorcising their prior upbringing demons, and I believe one of them is Jewish and the other was formerly Mormon. And so they had a lot to say and explore about the particular intensity they experienced in those veins as kids. And also spoke with the very affable young fellow who starred as Hippo. That is Kimball Farley, who I truly hope goes places because Hippo is an absolutely fascinating character and utterly unlike the person who was performing it. So there was a good harnessing of some strange energy there. So yeah, it's black and white. There's ironic counterpoint narration. It's a kind of closed set in this secluded house. And I wrap up my remarks toward the end. Things are so off and strange and hilariously unpleasant in this that there's a point where a known sexual predator makes a visit to the place, and one ultimately kind of feels sorry for him, which is a hard feat to accomplish. So yes, I recall this being quite amusing, quite strange, and frankly had gotten kind of worried that it wasn't going to reemerge because it's kind of been in the ether for a year and a half. But glad that it will be getting some theatrical screening and that places larger even than 366 have deigned to review it.
Okay, that's Hippo. One to look out for, although you probably won't be able to catch it in theaters. But if you're in New York or Los Angeles, it has Giles's seal of approval. Moving on to the next one. We have discussed this movie before. We've seen this image before on a poster, but Giles, describe it one more time.
Sure thing.
This
We've got two identically dressed gentlemen with roughly the same haircut, dark tone and white plaid shirt. Looks like maybe jeans or drab olive gray slacks. They're holding a sort of man purse or carrier bag on their laps, hands crossed, similar fashion. One of them on the left is looking straight at us, and the other is looking at the one looking at us. Now, this other looking at the one looking at us is, as I've described him before, blandly handsome. And he looks jealous of the character looking straight at us, who is unique looking from a particular, oh gosh, physiological disorder that the actor that character is based on suffers from and has been brought to our attention in a couple movies at least. Very, shall we say, well, just say sort of puffed, distorted face that is full of irregularities that are utterly lacking in the blandly handsome fellow.
Indeed. And we'll just point out that that is neurofibromatosis is the
Yeah.
actual name of the condition that causes. It tends to happen on the face rather than. I'm sure there are that's where it's visible, but like the hands you notice are
Yeah.
totally unaffected, which is sort of strange. It causes like tumor-like growths across the face, which distort the features quite intensely. The movie is a different man, and the actor there in this still photograph is the handsomely bland Sebastian Stan, who probably could get some notice uh, for this one for his acting in this one, but he will be overshadowed by his own acting in The Apprentice come awards season.
No.
Although this would be a really good one to sneak in somehow as an underdog. It's a different man, if I didn't say that already. And I doubt you've seen it, Giles.
I have not seen it
Okay.
yet.
Yeah, it is on VOD just this week. And as it's from A24, that means they put it out on VOD for rental for like $20 a pop uh, early on. And then if you wait a month, it's going to drop down to $5. So
And
I,
then, yeah.
I'm saying, I hate to take money out of A24's pocket, but if you can wait, either buy this one and own it all right outright for just about the same price that you would rent it for, or wait a couple months and rent it then. But this is definitely a movie that's worth seeing. It's from Aaron Schimberg, director, and stars alongside Sebastian Stan, stars Adam Pearson, the actor who actually suffers from neurofibromatosis, who you would probably most remember from his scene stealing performance in Under the Skin with Scarlett Johansson. Uh, very sort of the turning point of that film is when he appears for a very short but incredibly touching scene. Um, and then this director, Adam Schimberg, cast him then in another movie called Chained for Life, where he had more of a leading role. I think it probably would be, the co-leading role in
Oh,
that
yeah.
movie. And then Schimberg again has written a role for this actor who doesn't get many roles for obvious reasons because his disability is sort of hard to incorporate into a script. You really have to write the script around him to
Yeah.
fit him in. And so I love the fact that Adam Schimberg has now written two movies for Adam Pearson to act in, basically. I think it's a very cool collaboration between them. And I hope they will do another one. He's got
Mm.
to keep coming up with surprising ways to put Adam Pearson in movies that don't make him, an object of pity or
And
ridicule, but give him an interesting role to take. So this movie, I'll do the plot quickly. Um, this gentleman, Sebastian Stan, begins out suffering from neurofibromatosis himself. He undergoes a miracle cure, becomes an actor, and then he wants a role that was written for him back when he had neurofibromatosis, but now his face is blandly handsome and he can't take that role. Along comes Adam Pearson, who steals that role of a lifetime from him. And so he sort of has healer's remorse, I guess.
Yeah.
It's very interestingly done. It's a take on a doppelganger story. It's not a true doppelganger, but it sort of serves the same sort of purpose. And it has, although almost everything could happen in reality, although it's a very odd story, it has a very strange feeling to it, particularly as it goes to the end. It has that kind of doppelganger weirdness about where identities are getting mixed up. And what is this guy who looks just like I used to, sort of thing about it. So that's A Different Man on VOD today. Anything to add before I move on, Giles?
Yeah, no, it's a quick reassurance that, yeah, it is great that Schimberg and Pearson have done another thing. I had the pleasure of interviewing Schimberg. Might have been my first Fantasia, actually. Certainly my second one for Chained for Life. And yeah, it's I'm always Chained for Life. I thought was really great, fun movie, and so glad that Schimberg is continuing telling interesting stories, and in this time has landed, shall we say, some mainstream bigger names. So hopefully this augurs well for his scope expanding.
I certainly hope so. He's a talented director, and yeah, this is a big leap from his first movie was called Go Down Death, and was very modestly budgeted. His second movie, was a higher budgeted, but still low budget movie. And this one is, it's got a decent reach. So
Yeah.
Different Man. Hopefully, it might get some Academy Awards nomination for makeup
Oh, yeah.
because of Stan's makeup. So we can hope for it for that. Moving on. Uh, okay, Giles, we have another movie poster here. I'm not sure how you're going to be able to describe it, but do your best.
All right, this is like a splatter of I'm gonna sort of the vibe I'm getting is 1920s and 1930s era clip art kind of things, the stuff you might find in little pamphlets or advertisements or the like, or old textbooks. There's a sun in the upper left-hand corner, a tree, a semi-formal drawing of a horse down toward the bottom near a gorilla. There are the planets in orbit view from, quote, above Earth for one reason or another. I'm sure is explained. There is a tower thing going on. There's a rocket. So a lot of pencil and, ink drawing done in lieu of what might have been photographs later if this image vibe were from a later era. So the whole thing very much a pastiche and very it is multicolored but very soft, muted, aged tones to it.
Okay.
Oh, of course, dominating the frame sort of kind of is an hourglass, which
All
I'm sure
right.
is
And
important.
a title,
Once Within a Time.
Once Within a Time, and a film by Godfrey Reggio and John Kane. I don't know who John Kane is, but he gets a co-credit on this, although all the publicity has gone to Godfrey Reggio, who you might know from the Qatsi trilogy. Giles, can you
Mhm.
pronounce the name of the movie?
Koyaanisqatsi?
There you go. His experimental documentary, which is on the Criterion collection, in the Criterion collection, uh, documentary about modern life out of balance, experimental documentary. This, Once Within a Time, was our editor's choice, meaning me, for weirdest movie of 2023, because it did come out at the tail end of 2023. And however, nobody but me on our staff, or that I even know, had a chance to see it. because it got a very, it's a 45 minute, about 45 minute semi-feature, short feature, or a very long short. So it's kind of an awkward time. It did not get, it didn't get screenings outside of New York City and maybe some like museums. It is a very surreal vision from Godfrey Reggio, not a documentary like his previous movies. Also, not a narrative film, although closer to narrative film. It's instead very much, I got a very strong Kenneth Anger vibe from it. The visuals are sort of look like they've been processed so that they have been aged, so they look a little vintage, and it's all sorts of apocalyptic imagery and ideas. Uh, and it has things like UFOs and giant robots and monkeys experimenting with virtual reality goggles and hints of references to Adam and Eve and a cell phone which appears as the monolith in 2001, and then a special guest star appearance at the
Yes.
end from a celebrity who you would not expect to be cast in the role which he is. And it's got the singer Susan Dahim as a tree goddess with a glowing heart, and a lot of stuff like that. And it goes on for 45 minutes like that. Very entertaining if you can handle surrealism for that long. Also, notably, it has a uh, oh my gosh, not John Cage, Philip Glass, a Philip Glass
Yeah,
uh, score, which is something that a lot of people will be very interested in. So, yeah, it's an art piece, and I'm glad people will finally get to see it because it is out now on VOD and or Blu-ray and or if you haven't upgraded to Blu-ray yet, DVD from Oscilloscope. Very happy that people will finally get a chance to see this and either tell me I'm full of shit or that this is uh, as great a movie as I thought it was. It's certainly, no one is going to say it's not a weird movie who sees it.
yeah, not many reviews on Amazon. The lowest was 2 stars, describing it as very odd and meandering, which I imagine is true.
It is true. However, that's a feature, not a bug, as they say.
Yeah, exactly.
So once upon a time, any final closing thoughts on that, Giles, before we move on?
Nothing to add, all except that I would like a full poster size version of that image because that's just really neat looking. So,
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of, a lot of patchwork in those black and white images.
yeah,
Very
very
detailed.
odd and meandering poster.
Yeah, very odd and meandering poster. Okay, moving on.
It's a
So this
box.
is another, yeah, oh, this one might be relatively easy for you to describe, Giles.
Yeah, yep. This is a Blu-ray height box. Looks like it might go 2 inches deep, so it's gonna suggest there's a lot of cool stuff in there. Upper right-hand corner in red is, I believe, the name of the distributor, probably of this particular version in this box. Then centered is, this is sort of a blood splatter S shape. It looks like the top half is being ripped from the bottom half, below which is the famously fonted and kind of semi-scatter title, which any further description would probably be inept on my part or give it away since it's kind of known for that, whatever is going on with that particular font and arrangement. And then a credit to the director, I guess.
That's the
In
director.
white, boring text.
Um, so, and the title is Suspiria. But don't get exceptionally excited because It is the Suspiria remake from 2018,
Mm.
which is handled the way that all remakes really should be handled. Um, if you saw Suspiria the remake, and it had a different title, you would think, wow, this is an interesting story. It's kind of vaguely reminiscent of Suspiria from Dario Argento. It's got the same kind of setting, but it's totally different, really. So it's set in a dance studio in West Germany, a ballet studio in West Germany, and there are witches, and that's just about all it shares with the Dario Argento movie. It does have some cameos. There's a Jessica Harper cameo. I don't
Hmm.
know if there was a Udo Kier cameo or not. There might have been. I have to refresh my memory. Uh, but instead it stars Dakota Johnson, who really redeems herself from those 50 Shades of movies by starring in this, where she does a really good job. It was one of the early appearances of Mia Goth, also, who, of course, went
Mhm.
on to horror superstardom. At least last year, she had a killer year. Um, and so this is from Australia, but it is an all region release. And it is a three discs. It's got a 4K UHD, it has a Blu-ray, and then it has a Blu-ray with only special features on it. Um,
A bunch of special features,
and
yeah.
so many special features, we won't even bother going through all of them. Uh, Also, people, although I don't think it comes close to the original Goblin score, people really like the Tom York score for this one, and there are some featurettes on this dealing with that. Unfortunately, it doesn't come with a CD. I really like it when physical media releases come with a CD of the soundtrack.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
about one of the coolest extras you could have. This has some art cards in it, and it's a pretty big set from Australia. But as I said, all region limited, listed as a limited edition. Uh,
1,500 copies only, so,
yeah.
jump
And
on
it
it.
actually releases today, as you're listening to this, the day after we're recording it. Are you picking up a lot of noise on my end?
No, you're
Okay.
no, sounding all right, I think.
There's a guy
Testing,
outside my
testing.
window with a leaf blower, very loud.
Yeah.
I could barely hear myself, but if you can hear me, that's good. Uh, so that's Suspiria, the remake in a lavish limited edition. And so, speaking of lavish limited editions, we have our last item of the day, Giles.
Well,
What are
this
we looking
this
at?
item is contained in perhaps the greatest invention mankind has ever attained. It's a steelbook, and so you know that it's quality. In this steelbook, there are two discs. There are, I don't know, six lobby cards, four things that look like programs like you might find in an early 30s movie theater. Some item on the left I don't know, and I bet that's a recreation of a film of a ticket stub. And it looks like there's a lyric sheet to a song that I imagine features heavily within this very, 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 very famous motion picture that I guess I'm kind of curious how many separate releases it may have gotten over the years from, Super 8 home stuff, 16 millimeter home, VHS, Betamax. I bet there was even a splash on that. Any number of DVDs for the various anniversary editions, then into
Laserdisc.
Blu-rays. And this, of course, is 4K Ultra HD in a steel book, the apex of human achievement.
Do you want to describe the two covers?
Sure, there's a green tone, and the other one also has a green tone. The outer cover, to protect the steelbook cover, has a profile of a rather witchy-looking individual from the side and a couple of green hands that are menacingly positioned by an orb containing, oh, I'm gonna guess, four people and a dog. or four humanoids and a dog. And this is, rather simple, except for those humanoids. It's all looks like a photo still. And then inside, there's the a witchy-looking person seated with perhaps a plaintive expression on her face, her hand still all wrinkled and craggled looking, and very, very green. And there's that weird, buoyant Depression era font that lets you know that this is an exciting movie, but it's also family friendly.
Okay, and people have probably guessed the name of the movie by now.
I
If
hope so.
not, the picture on the interior of the Steelbook would give it away. It's got a scarecrow, a tin man, a girl in a blue dress with a picnic basket, and a cowering lion, or a man in a lion suit.
That's the famously cowering lion.
Yes, the cowering lion. And it's, of course, The Wizard of Oz in, as Giles points out, about its 200th different release. Uh, so, yes, what's special about this release is the Steelbook, the 4K UHD, and they keep coming up with new extras to put in. As Giles says, there are six, I think, six lobby cards. Those four other cards are, I believe, uh, scaled down reproductions of the original posters, a replica of a movie stub ticket from Grauman's Chinese Theater, a program. I don't know if that program actually folds out or if it's just the cover of the program, but a recreation of the Grauman's Chinese Theater program. We don't get programs for movies anymore. I guess they probably haven't since 1940. But
I, yeah.
and the other thing there, I think, is an invitation to come see, not a lyric sheet,
Yeah.
but an invitation to come see
Yeah.
The Wizard of Oz. Uh, and so, like we said, they've done so many of these. They're running out of reasons to get people to buy a new edition. If you're a big whiz head, though, of course, you're going to want to buy it. And you have the 4K UHD player. But even if you don't, you get a Blu-ray to watch it on, and you get all those cool cards. Are Wizard of Oz fans known as whiz heads? I just call them whiz heads.
I hope so.
I hope so.
Uh,
All right. Well, we have less than a minute left. Next week, don't know who's going to be on the show. Hoping to get a guest. Haven't nailed one down. A week after, we hope to have other guests. Haven't nailed them down. Don't even know if Giles is going to be on next week or not. Um, but we will be. I will be back with either Giles or someone else, and maybe a guest next week.
and if
So
that's not a thrilling pitch, I don't know what is.
there you go. Yes, always in flux. And so we will sign off tonight. Goodbye, everybody. Like, subscribe, do whatever else it
Yeah,
takes.
share with your friends. Good luck out there.
And good luck out there. Peace.
Weird. Yeah, I guess that is the word for it. Weird.